What is going on, guys? Matty G back here with you on Football with Flags. Thanks so much for joining us. Hope you guys were able to catch some World Cup action today. If you did not, surely we will try and cover as much as we possibly can from each of these three games and give you a bit of background on everything and as to what happened and what you should be looking for going forward with these teams. Let's go ahead and kick it right off with England and Iran, who started the day off. England wound up winning this game 6-2. A very interesting game. I really thought that Iran would be able to play better in terms of just not conceding as much, being able to sit back, absorb some pressure from England, and really try and keep this a pretty competitive game. And it felt like that a little bit in the early going. However, England just really controlled things pretty much almost from start to finish. An absolutely dominating performance. Certainly a big storyline for Iran was their starting goalkeeper, Ali Reza, with a head injury. I think he winds up running into one of his defenders as a cross comes in, and they wind up knocking heads, and he has to come out. Wound up having 14 minutes of stoppage time in this first half, which was wild, and mainly because of that. However, still certainly a figure that you usually do not see that large. But for me, I felt like for England, one of the things that was so important for them was their subs were able to keep pace. They had such a great first half, but then Gareth Southgate makes 4 changes, brings some guys on. Rashford scores, Grealish scores. Bukayo Saka has 2. Jude Bellingham gets his first goal. So England really not only did their subs keep pace, but they had some young, fresh talent really do incredibly well in this match as well, which is huge for them. Another note for Iran, this is certainly going to be a huge uphill battle for them now at this point. Obviously, this was for them what they felt like their toughest game in the group. So for them, it might get easier. However, going into these next 2 games, knowing they need, 3 points really now instead of, possibly just 1 out of a couple of these, something like that. They could still probably get in off of 4 points potentially. I don't see anything less than that. So for me, it's going to be really tough. The fact that obviously they lost their first game. They've got a -4 goal differential now as well. Potentially lost their goalkeeper, their number 1, maybe for the rest of the tournament, which is going to be really unfortunate for them if that is the case. But we'll see how they bounce back. Certainly don't think that this team's just going to roll over and quit by any means. But they've certainly put themselves in a very difficult hole that they're going to have to dig out of if they want to try and make the knockout stages, especially considering how well this team played in 2018 and came so close with that group with Spain, Portugal, and Morocco. Finally, the last point for England, being able to exercise those options that they've got. Again, like we talked about, their subs, so many good pieces, so many strong performances from guys today that were really important for them and showcase just how talented they are and deep as well. We'll see how Harry Maguire comes along, their center back who was injured and had to come off. Eric Dyer came on in his place. Still kind of interesting. I think a lot of people were a bit surprised that Maguire started. However, he did get the call, came in. But we'll have to wait and see how England, look and how they line up moving forward. Obviously, again, with a great performance like this, they were able to get some guys some rest, get some other guys some great minutes as well. So I think that's going to be very important for them in terms of how they line up and go against the United States, maybe probably feeling a bit fresher than them as well. So moving on. Now to Holland and Senegal. Now, this game I was unfortunately not able to see quite as much, which I hated because this was actually a lot better game than I had originally expected. I really thought the loss of Mane was going to really hurt Senegal. And again, I had them finishing bottom of the table in Group A, and I feel pretty stupid at this point, considering that is the case. I mean, it still could happen, but again, they gave a great performance today against the Netherlands, without their main man. They actually wound up out shooting Netherlands 15-10 in this game, which I think was a pretty important note, considering that, they just, their pace was fantastic. They pressed really well at certain times. And I thought there's this fact that they were able to create as many chances as they did, regardless how many were on target or not, that, they were really in this game, and it was back and forth, and it was a lot of good moments, a lot of great chances for both sides. Netherlands had a few good looks in the early going with a lot of space in behind Senegal, and really thought that they would convert at least one of those. And then, for their sake, they did not. But again, Cody Gakpo getting the goal, unfortunate for Mendy, their goalkeeper, Senegal's goalkeeper, trying to come out on that. It was just a very difficult, tough ball, kind of coming in with a late runner that nobody picked up. And he's just got such great height and a great vertical to be able to get up there and beat such a tall, solid goalkeeper like Minnie, just to get to that ball first before his fist could, and even just just glancing at on frame, just absolutely fantastic. A great goal for Holland. Um, felt like Netherlands started a little bit slow. However, again though they really kind of propelled themselves into this game a lot more as time went on. Had a decent amount of possession, not drastically more than Senegal, but certainly controlled the game, I thought, more than Senegal did. But again, Senegal did so well to play at their own tempo at times too, which I thought was very important. Although, with that being said, again, Senegal really need, I think, a big win against Qatar. Ecuador is going to go up against Holland next, which is going to be very intriguing to see how they do. If we'll see if Inter Valencia is available to play for Ecuador. I'm really intrigued to see how that game goes because, again, I thought Ecuador could have beaten Qatar a lot worse than just 2-0 and looked really solid, in my opinion. So we'll see how they fare against Holland. I think they'll give them a very similar game to how Senegal played them today. It's not going to be easy by any means, but I think Senegal now at this point, down 2 goals in their differential, 0 points, 3 behind Ecuador. They've really got to make a statement against Qatar and get themselves back to even terms with Ecuador. And Ecuador have got to do as much as they possibly can to try and keep that goal differential, if not at least steal a point away from Holland. I'm not sure they're going to be able to beat them, but again, I still feel like this could be a very impressive and good game back and forth for that side. So we'll have to see how things go. But again, Senegal in a better spot than I originally had them in our final predictions. And, we'll see how things go for both of these sides as they move forward with their next group games coming up, I believe, Thursday. And finally, last but not least, the United States versus Wales. Bit of an unfortunate game for the U.S., and certainly being American myself, obviously very tough to watch. But at the same time, I mean that solely in the result, not in in how they played. This entire U.S. lineup, first time being in a World Cup game. They played incredibly well in the first half, really just controlled almost every facet of the game. It was a great possession, good combinations in the midfield. They got their outside backs high and involved. And it was a great goal by Timothy Weah to give the U.S. the lead at the half, 1-0. Really thought they had a few other chances that could have maybe been put together a little bit better too, but still feeling, I mean, if you're a U.S. fan, you had to feel very, very excited and happy with how the first half went and thought that there was certainly more to come in the second half. However, of course, Wales were going to make some changes. Kiefer comes in, huge 6'5" striker up top that's really able to hold the ball a lot better and dictate play for Wales, which was huge for them. And as much as the U.S. did control that first half, Wales certainly used their size and strength to their advantage in the second half, opening the game up a little bit more. They did play in a 3-4-3, which I thought was certainly going to expose them a lot at times when the U.S. were able to create turnovers and get on the counter. However, that was certainly one thing that I thought the U.S. kind of missed out on. They did a decent job being able to counter and win possession and won a lot of dirty battles in the midfield. However, I thought that their opportunities to exploit Wales in the second half were, left to be desired in a sense. Didn't feel like they didn't get after them as well as they should have, especially in the wide areas. The U.S. settled for a lot of crosses, which really, again, as we talked about, Wales' size and strength was kind of not the best idea, especially considering Wales has a 6'6" goalkeeper and Wayne Hennessy back there too. So it's just kind of disappointing, considering just how well that they played in the first half, that they weren't able to secure things in the second half. Obviously, the game opened up, especially in the midfield. Both sides needing subs. You see a lot of guys cramping as well. Very, very interesting decision by Walker Zimmerman to make that tackle on Gareth Bale in the box. Wales were starting to pick up a little bit of momentum at that time too. Aaron Ramsey makes a throw from the sideline, I believe over Anthony Robinson and someone else who was kind of over there. But, Wales, again, just, from the touchline, trying to get things back in play and get going. Ball winds up finding Bale's feet in the box. His back's turned to the goal. And, again, I know it's such a tough split-second decision for Walker Zimmerman to try and lunge and reach for that and think he can just poke it away. But even at best, maybe the U.S. pick up possession there, but it's still in a very difficult area considering where they are in the box. So just a all around really tough decision to swallow, tough one to look at, considering again just how well the U.S. played in this game and really should have picked up 3 points. And the fact that they didn't, um, I wouldn't say feels like a loss, but it's certainly a shame, I think, in their eyes, considering, again, yes, it was a lot of first timers. This is a young group, but they had a great opportunity to pick up 3 points and kind of seize control of their own destiny in terms of trying to get out of this group. And now might need a little bit of help down the road. Not really in a hole, but definitely not in the driver's seat, I would say, either. Not at least in full total control. But again, all in all, a very good second half from both sides. Wales, again, like we said, being able to open the game up more. And, Bale does well to finish the PK. You can't fault him for that, putting himself in that position, going down, getting the foul. And yes, it was a foul, as much as I hate to say it. But, Matt Turner does incredibly well to stay on his line and get a fingertip to that too. Almost had a save, which would have been absolutely phenomenal for him, especially considering that one save he had, earlier on in the second half to keep Wales out. But again, all in all, some very good games for our second day in the FIFA World Cup. Huge slate of action tomorrow with both Group C and Group D getting underway with all 4 teams in both of those. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that as well. Hope you guys get to catch some of the action. And hope you like this video. If you wouldn't mind, subscribe, hit that like button if you will too, please. We've certainly got some more content coming out. And as always, really appreciate your time, guys. Any comments, concerns, questions, anything like that, go ahead and drop them now if you would. And until next time, guys, we will see you later. Peace out.